Welcome to Chaos. During the winter of 2020, seasonal anime wasn't really my thing. I had been working a lot during the time and freshly out of a college semester. I didn't really have time to keep up with all the great stuff coming out. Haikyuu, Darwin's Game, It Invaded. There was a lot of cool anime I was really interested in, but nothing really grabbed me in yet. After all, I'm still on season 1 of Haikyuu, I've already watched Sword Art Online, and my brain was too fried from school to start another high-action mystery psychological mind game show. Eizouken was something I was interested in for a bit, being an animator and everything, but I just ended up losing interest after a few episodes. I felt as if while the direction and characters were quite engaging, the story was missing that special flair that could really get me hooked onto the series. For me, one of the most important things about the series I watch is the introduction. How does the series introduce its characters, story, and world in a way that will make me ask for so much more? It's a big reason on why my favorite anime is Attack on Titan. Starting out by being thrown into the middle of such a complex and jaw-dropping atmosphere definitely piqued interest in my middle schooler brain. So how did I end up picking up a random funky looking CGI seinen that I've never heard of before? Luckily for me, it turned out to be one of the best anime I've watched in recent years. From the unique atmosphere and backgrounds, made with the help of the same people who worked on Akira, the intense aspect of mystery in the air, to the most down-to-earth pleasurable cast, Dorohedoro is one of Studio Mappa's most polished and refined anime ever. So why should you watch it, you ask? Let me take some time to break down a pretty spoiler-free review of the anime, along with various reasons on why you should check it out. Kaiman is a half-lizard, half-human sorcerer hunter who lives in a desolate, abandoned city called Hole, along with his best friend and human companion, a restaurant owner named Nikaido. Together, the two of them hunt sorcerers who come from the other side of the door, otherwise known as the human world, in an attempt to find the sorcerer who transformed Kaiman into a lizard. That's basically it, simplified. The story allows a lot of room for the characters to travel and explore the world, while also allowing a lot of space for external and inner conflict. Kaiman's inner struggle of whether he is him or the man inside of his mouth, yeah, he has a guy living in his mouth, represents a lot of the conflict that we face today as people, not knowing whether we are the image that we put out to society or who we are inside. Nikaido, his friend and gyoza chef extraordinaire, has made it her journey to assist him in finding his body back, as they both share a strong distaste for sorcerers. The two end up catching the attention of a popular sorcerer, a mushroom-feeding villain named En, who sends out several cleaners to hunt the two down. I can't lie, En-san definitely seems like an allegory to psychedelics, but we're not gonna get into that. Shin, Noi, Fujita, and Ebisu are the 4 cleaners tasked with taking out the duo, but they won't exactly have an easy time. Kaiman is not only insanely physically strong, but also due to his curse of being transformed into a lizard, magic has no effect on him, and Nikaido is an excellent martial artist with a few secrets of her own. Both sides begin a wild goose chase to hunt down the other, as Kaiman believes Ebisu might be the sorcerer who transformed into a lizard, and Shin and Noi have a job to do. Fujita, one of the weaker sorcerer villains, is seeking vengeance for his former partner, Matsumura, who Kaiman murdered. All of these characters are extremely vibrant and colorful in their own quirky ways, and bring a lot of fun to what would otherwise be another generic fantasy seinen. One of the things Dorohedoro does best is keep you guessing. The first mystery that we're introduced to in the series is about the sorcerer who transformed Kaiman into a half-lizard, half-human monster. To figure this out, Kaiman has to stick a sorcerer's head in his mouth so they can speak to the man inside of him. Pause! No wait, play, it's Pride Month. The opening scene to episode 1 begins with a horrific, jarring shot of Matsumura inside of Kaiman's jaws. This is something that instantly grabs your attention and pulls you into the series. Nikaido and Kaiman aren't even interested in sorcerers past this point. After asking the question of whether or not they were the one who transformed him, and receiving the answer, they instantly kill the sorcerer. I love the way that Kaiman is so driven and determined on his one goal of finding the sorcerer who transformed him, and it allows a lot of good opportunities as well for mind games to play on the viewer. For example, occasionally we'll get nightmares from Kaiman's perspective about the man inside of him. The show really keeps you invested in making sure that you're keeping up with all the little details and tricks about the world of Whole. Another thing Dorohedoro does best is create a real atmosphere for the world and its characters. Through Kaiman and Nikaido, we get to go around to various different locations in Seoul and see the way of life and culture of the people in its city. There's markets, convenience stores, bars, casinos, and way more. Along with not only having a lot of realistic locations you could find in real life, Seoul is also full of many unique fantasies as well. In the first episode, after Matsumura's untimely death, we get to see his funeral and how Fujita pays respects to the dead by putting an egg in a vat of black magic goo? There's a special quirkiness to Dorohedoro that we get to see every new episode, along with new world events constantly happening that we get to see our characters participate in, such as the Day of the Living Dead, which is basically Zombie Apocalypse Day, where the magic from the other world revives the dead residents of Seoul. There's also Blue Night, a night in which sorcerers seek out partners to work with. Kaiman and Nikaido get to travel due to being on the hunt for sorcerers, and often we get to see a lot of the creative ways that the story can show us its world. The soundtrack for Dorohedoro is absolutely phenomenal. Not only does it have a kick-ass punk opening, but also 6 different endings, all with their own unique visuals and aesthetic. The manga itself also has a separate soundtrack, but the anime soundtrack, composed by No Name, is breathtaking, with many themes fitting the grimy, tough, and brutal atmosphere of the world that it shares. Here's just an example of the distinctive sound that can be found in Dorohedoro. There are many different types of sounds that always keep the scenes lively and animated. A good, well put together thematic soundtrack is essential to good anime, and Dorohedoro does it perfectly. Another thing that Dorohedoro slams out of the water is its character designs. Let's take a look at our main characters. Although their designs might seem basic at first, let's take a closer look at both of them. Nikaido is an extremely tall and muscular woman who often wears a lot of typical streetwear fashion. In the manga, actually, the characters are wearing Air Jordans, but I think due to trademark and stuff like that, unfortunately they weren't able to incorporate that into the anime, but they still managed to get the same look. Kaiman is dressed as a dirty bike thug, and instantly when you see these two characters, you can tell a lot about their laid-back, relaxed personalities. Even the side and background characters in Dorohedoro have extremely compelling designs, which mostly seem to be based off traditional streetwear fashion in Japan. Dorohedoro does an amazing job at giving the characters potential to shine through even the tiniest of interactions. Characters can't just simply act in their world, they have to act their specific way. By making characters make side comments, jokes, complaints, and showing their roundabout way of doing things, Hayashida expresses and flexes solid characterization. Kaiman's obsession with gyoza allowing him to favor Nikaido, Noi's adoration and cute-like attachment to Shin, Shin's obsession with death matches which increases desire to hunt and kill Kaiman. It all works together in a very fun way that really lets you get to know the characters. Speaking of characters, one thing Dorohedoro does insanely well compared to other anime is how they handle the villains. The main villains are introduced at the end of episode 1 and are actually given a major focus right from the start. In fact, in a lot of episodes, the villains actually end up getting more screen time than the heroes. We learn that these villains are not just evil bad guys who are sent to kill our beloved heroes, but rather they are simply just people with their own circumstances, desires, and ambitions as well. Take Shin for example, a half-human, half-sorcerer who grew up in the worst parts of the whole. Due to his upbringing, he grew up insanely tough and knowledgeable about the city and its people, which allowed him to do his job better as one of En's cleaners. Speaking of En, I find him to be a very strange, major villain. Rather than just seeking power or wanting to change society, En is merely a sorcerer obsessed with mushrooms who has a lot of bad grudges held against him. Noi, another villain, is a really energetic, muscular woman who acts exactly like a little puppy. It's so easy to fall in love with these characters, not just because they're villains, but because we can see them for who they are as people outside of the job as well. Hayashida does a really good job at subverting expectations, with all these characters not exactly being the dictionary definition of a villain at all. Dorohedoro has many unique quirks to it that makes it stand aside from a lot of anime airing today. From the video game references, to the in-world events, to the outstanding direction and production, Dorohedoro really just smashes your average anime out of the park. Studio Mappa is following up Dorohedoro with Attack on Titan's final season, Jujutsu Kaisen, and God of High School, and after seeing what they did with this anime, I'm really excited to see the future of these other anime as well. If you have some free time or you're looking for a new anime series to get into, I highly recommend Dorohedoro, and I recommend you even check out the manga as well, which has an amazing grimy sharp aesthetic to it. Thank you all for checking out my video. I'm Sanyadara, and make sure you shine on!
Fuck. Wait.